So I want you to imagine a burglar, right? Like a guy who used to just try picking your front door lock.
Yeah, the classic crowbar approach.
Exactly. But suddenly he has this smart tool, and it's not just helping him break the glass, it actually helps him navigate the laser grid in the hallway and like autonomously crack the safe down in the basement.
Which is, a massive leap in capability.
Right. The barrier to entry for navigating that really complex maze just completely dropped to zero.
Yeah, and that fundamentally alters the entire threat landscape. I mean, we're not dealing with static maps anymore.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today we are looking at a fundamental breakdown in the rules of cybersecurity.
It's a fascinating shift to watch, honestly.
It really is.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive is to understand exactly how the hacker playbook is evolving, right? Like why our traditional defense frameworks are suddenly flying blind.
And what the tech industry is actually doing to try and fix it, because the timeline on this is heavily compressed.
Yeah, we're practically witnessing a structural re-architecting of cyber threats in real time.
Right, and the defense side is just scrambling to adjust.
So to ground this, we are unpacking a massive June 2026 report from Anthropic. It details a full year's worth of AI-enabled cyber threats.
Yeah, and the beta set here is incredible. They looked at 832 banned malicious accounts.
Right, operating between March 2025 and March 2026. And they mapped all this activity against the MITRE AT&CK database.
Which is basically the industry dictionary for hacker technique.
Exactly. And some of these findings also featured in Verizon's 2026 Data Breach Investigations report. But we're focusing on the raw telemetry today.
Because to understand why the rules are breaking, you really have to look at the mechanisms, right? Like how attackers are actually using AI right now.
Yeah, which is shifting way deeper into the shadows of compromised systems.
Right. I mean, the assumption has always been that generative AI is mostly an initial access tool, like a faster way to write a convincing phishing email.
Or, mass generating malicious domains.
Exactly. But the telemetry tells a very different story about where the computational power is actually going.
Well, the raw numbers on prep work alone are huge. Out of those 832 accounts, 67.3%, so that's 560 of them, used AI to prep for attacks.
Yeah, mostly writing malware or structuring code.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The data shows a fascinating shift. AI use for initial access, like those phishing campaigns, actually fell by 8.6%.
Right.
While AI use for account discovery, which is what happens inside a network, rose by 8.9%.
What's fascinating here is that inverse relationship. Attackers are realizing that initial access is, well, it's largely a solved problem.
Because people will always click links.
Exactly. People click links, credentials get leaked. The actual bottleneck for an attacker is figuring out what to do after they get a foothold.
It's like that burglar realizing the hardest part isn't getting through the window anymore. It's figuring out whose key card opens the vault once they're inside.
That's a perfect analogy. Because historically, navigating deep inside a compromised network, what we call lateral movement, was restricted to highly sophisticated hackers.
Right, because you usually land on some unprivileged machine, right?
Yeah, and you have to manually query Active Directory, parse thousands of lines of dense logs, and figure out privilege escalation paths without triggering any alarms.
Which sounds incredibly tedious.
Oh, it was an art form. But now AI is doing all that heavy analytical lifting for less skilled actors.
Just serving as a translation layer for the internal network.
Precisely. You dump a massive configuration file into a model and prompt it, identify the path of least resistance to an admin account.
Wow. And the report had a pretty terrifying stat on this, right?
Yeah. 6.5% of the actors, so 54 specific accounts, used AI specifically for this complex lateral movement.
And because that analytical lifting is outsourced, the overall threat level is just skyrocketing.
Right. The baseline capability of a low-tier threat actor has been artificially inflated.
Like between the first and second half of the year they studied, the share of actors classified as medium risk or higher jumped from 33% to 56%.
That is a 1.7-fold increase in just 6 months.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because if amateurs are suddenly capable of executing highly advanced post-compromise maneuvers, it completely breaks how security teams figure out who the high-risk threats are.
It creates a massive triage problem.
Right. If security teams traditionally assess risk by looking at, how many tools or techniques a hacker uses, how do we measure risk now?
That is the million-dollar question.
I mean, if an amateur is using AI to generate 20 techniques on the fly, are defenders just flying blind.
The short answer is yes. The old signals absolutely do not paint an accurate picture anymore.
Because technique volume used to be the gold standard, right?
Yeah, it was a highly reliable proxy for sophistication. It took years for a human operator to master 20 different evasion techniques.
But the source data shows literally no correlation between a hacker's skill and the number of techniques they use anymore.
None at all. The least skilled actors in the dataset average 16 distinct techniques.
And the most skilled average 20.
Right. So if you're a defender looking at a dashboard during a live intrusion, a 4-technique difference is practically statistical noise.
It's basically meaningless. And even the platform they use doesn't give it away, right?
Yeah, whether they're using Claude Code, an API, or just a standard web chat interface, it doesn't indicate the risk level at all.
So if technique volume is a dead end and the interface is a dead end, what separates the highest risk actors now?
What separates them is where they apply the AI and the scaffolding they build around it.
Scaffolding, right. Break that down for us.
Think of scaffolding as the programmatic environment built around the model. A low-tier actor uses AI as a consultant. They ask a question, get a piece of code, and manually execute it.
Kind of like copying and pasting.
Exactly. But high-risk actors use the AI as an engine. They build architectures that allow AI models to chain together discrete stages of an attack.
Wow. So they're creating a loop?
Yes, with minimal human input. They focus on operationally demanding techniques like real-time decision-making and privilege escalation.
Meaning, if the AI hits a firewall, it doesn't just stop and wait for the human to type a new command.
Right. The scaffolding feeds the error back into the AI, prompting it to analyze why it failed and select a different pivot instantly.
Because these top-tier attackers are building these autonomous chains of attack, the standard dictionary that cybersecurity professionals use is missing a massive chapter.
A huge blind spot. It measures the action, but it completely misses the director of the action.
And we're talking about the MITRE ATT&CK framework here.
Yeah, the global standard for tracking threats.
Which brings up a chilling real-world example from the sources. This was back in November 2025.
Oh, the state-sponsored cyber espionage operation. That was wild.
Yeah. Anthropic disrupted this actor who manipulated Claude Code to infiltrate targets worldwide. They exploited vulnerabilities and stole credentials with almost zero human intervention.
It was a textbook deployment of autonomous architecture.
So what does this all mean? Because there is a massive contradiction in the data here.
A glaring one, yeah.
If you map that massive November attack onto the MITRE ATT&CK framework, the actor used 30 techniques across 13 tactics.
Right.
So on paper, they look just like a standard medium-risk actor. Nothing screams autonomous state-sponsored campaign.
And that highlights the severity of the blind spot perfectly. Because under Anthropic's internal risk scoring, that November attack earned a maximum risk score of 100 out of 100.
Wait, 100 out of 100? Why the huge discrepancy?
Because the model worked as an autonomous agent. It made tactical decisions on its own. The MITRE framework tracks what happened, like a credential was dumped, but it misses how it happened.
Right. The framework is just logging the discrete actions.
Exactly. And currently, there is no MITRE ATT&CK ID for agentic orchestration.
Agentic orchestration, that is a terrifying phrase.
It really is. It means our leading security framework fundamentally underplays how dangerous these autonomous AI agents are. Because an AI doesn't need to sleep or take a coffee break. It operates at compute speed.
Which completely changes the physics of a cyber attack.
Exactly.
So attackers are evolving rapidly, and our standard frameworks are outdated. What is the tech industry actually doing to ensure defenders don't lose this arms race?
Well, the initial response has to happen at the source, right? Anthropic's immediate response is actively building cyber safeguards into their most capable frontier models.
To detect and block the exact activities uncovered in this report.
Right. Specifically targeting things like malware development and mass data exfiltration at the model level.
So the AI recognizes the context of the malicious request and just severs the chain before the scaffolding can execute the next step.
Exactly. They're hardwiring the models to refuse the operation.
But this raises an important question, right? Because one company building guardrails isn't going to secure the entire ecosystem.
This raises an important question, yes. It's not just about one company blocking threats. It's about sharing knowledge. Information silos actively benefit the attackers.
Right. If an attacker's agent gets blocked by one model, they'll just pivot to another one.
Which is why Anthropic is in deep discussions with MITRE to evolve the ATT&CK framework. They need to officially include these AI-enabled behaviors.
To finally give defenders the vocabulary to see the threat.
Precisely. You can't defend against something you can't even define on a dashboard.
And they're also expanding something called Project Glasswing, right?
Yeah, they're taking this raw intelligence and expanding Project Glasswing to approximately 150 new organizations across more than 15 countries.
Wow, that's a massive rollout.
It is. The goal is to share what they're learning, the shift toward lateral movement, the lack of correlation in technique volume, and put these powerful insights in the hands of defenders first.
Which is so crucial. And for you listening, this brings it directly back home.
Absolutely.
Because as frontier AI models rapidly change the tools available to both sides, the security of your personal data, your workplace, and our global infrastructure relies heavily on this exact race.
Right. Defenders have to get these AI insights and patch the systemic blind spots before the attackers can scale their autonomous operations globally.
The defensive window is just shrinking so fast.
It really is.
So to summarize the journey we've taken on this deep dive today, we went from AI simply helping script kiddies write basic malware.
Which is bad enough.
Right, bad enough, to assisting in deep lateral network movement. And finally, to the terrifying reality of autonomous agentic orchestration.
Attacks that literally run themselves and improvise around obstacles.
Exactly, which completely breaks our traditional volume-based threat assessment frameworks.
And that leaves us with a really provocative thought to mull over, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Lay it on us.
Well, the sources showed us that the ultimate hallmark of a high-risk hacker today is building scaffolding that allows an AI to execute a cyber attack autonomously, right?
Right.
So if attackers are deploying AI agents to hack at machine speed, and defenders are deploying AI models to detect and block them at machine speed.
The humans are just caught in the middle.
Exactly. Are we rapidly approaching a future where cybersecurity is no longer a chess match between human hackers and human defenders? But rather a war of speed and creativity between autonomous AI agents, basically fighting in the dark.
A hyper-speed algorithmic war, where human reaction time is actually the biggest liability on the network.
Pretty much. We might just be bystanders watching our own agents fight it out.
That is a staggering thought to end on. It completely reframes what network defense is going to look like in the next few years. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you next time.